One of the things on the top of his agenda, securing his cabinet positions. Stephen Dennis, White House correspondent for Roll Call, joins us now to talk about that and more. Thanks for coming in.
Yeah.
We survived the election season.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of challenges for the president, for Congress too, but for the president, one of the things he's got to do is figure out who's going to be in his cabinet, who's not. There are several people who are likely on the way out, and I guess we should point out that this is normal for a second term.
Absolutely, and I think a lot of the folks who are in the biggest jobs, the most important jobs, these jobs chew people up. They take up enormous amounts of your time. People tend to not stay forever. And, whether you're talking about Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, who's made it very clear for a while now that she wants to leave, or some of the other top jobs, even Eric Holder, Attorney General, not sure whether he's sticking around. And so you have turnover. This is an opportunity for the president to get some sort of fresh blood, etc. But also, these are some big shoes to fill.
Sure.
These are the sort of the stalwarts of his administration.
And Hillary Clinton, her reign as Secretary of State has been memorable, notable, and I think many people would say quite effective. So for her to lose her. Now, let me ask you this, though. A couple of months ago, one of the names being mentioned as a possible replacement was Susan Rice.
Yes.
Seems to me that might not happen now.
Well, you never know, whether the Benghazi situation, continues to simmer and Republicans continue to be incredibly angry about it. Certainly I think that her statements immediately after that event really would hurt her chances in the Senate. But, if the president really wanted to pick her and really thought she was the best person for the job and fought for her, he's a re-elected president. That gives you a certain level of, you get your person. And, the Democrats did pick up a couple seats in the Senate. I think he could probably confirm her if he really put muscle into it. But, there are a lot of other folks that people have mentioned. John Kerry. The problem there is that, there would then be a special election in a few months in Massachusetts. Scott Brown just was defeated. He could turn around and run for that seat, and it's not a slam dunk. So I think that...
Which would give the Republicans...
Yeah, so I think that there's, going to be considerations if he picks somebody from the Senate to fill some of these slots.
Let's talk about Leon Panetta, who has served as both head of the CIA, now Secretary of Defense. He's likely to depart, we believe. Tell me what the scenario is there. Who might be able to replace him?
Well, I think it's a tough job to find a good replacement. There's all kinds of people who have been in top positions, Mullen, who's been the Joint Chiefs of Staff. There are people who get mentioned, but the thing, I think, with the Panetta decision and the timing is sort of critical there. If we're facing the potential for a military showdown with Iran, we're facing a lot of other Iran situations, a lot of other tense situations around the world. It's quite possible that Panetta gets drafted to stay a little bit longer until some of these situations are worked out. And Tim Geithner is another example, Treasury Secretary. While we have a fiscal cliff situation, while we have this debt limit crisis a few months after that, I think with Geithner, it's also an issue of timing. People have talked about Jack Lew, the Chief of Staff, potentially replacing him at Treasury. Well, you're not going to do that until, this fiscal cliff, this big deal has been sorted out.
So that actually does factor into all of this.
Yes.
And we were talking during the break about, obviously, it's not just these things the president has to deal with. It is the fiscal cliff.
Yes.
He's speaking later today.
Yes.
Tell me how you think that's going to play out, and particularly the relationship between the president and John Boehner.
Yeah, that relationship has been pretty, warm behind the scenes. They both get along pretty well personally. And they both have challenges in their own parties in coming into a deal that cuts entitlements and raises, tax revenue. And John Boehner really reached out in the last couple of days to the president on a series of issues. Immigration reform, he's now, saying that that's going to be a priority next year when Republicans wouldn't touch it and basically blocked immigration reform the past 10 years in the Congress. That's a big deal. And he's also saying, look, I'm willing to support more tax revenue as part of tax reform. Just throw me a bone, basically, Mr. President, on the rates. The problem for John Boehner is his conference is very conservative. It's going to be even more conservative potentially next year. and he needs to be able to get their votes.
Okay.
And getting their votes, he has to give them something to vote for, not just say, hey, eat it.
Right.
And
right.
The president really faces a choice now. Does he sort of take this olive branch and return it with another olive branch, or does he play hardball? Because right now he's in a very strong position and is holding a lot of the cards.
All right. Stephen Dennis with Roll Call. Thank you very much for your analysis. We do appreciate it.